What is going on, guys? Today we are looking at the best midfielders in FIFA 23 and we have stripped the list. We have gone for strictly the best of the best to show you the tier list of them, because we're going to get a lot of players going into this next few weeks. Obviously every team of the season from minor leagues to major leagues are going to have a massive boost, or at least a boost on the old cards. To start with, we're going to jump straight in with Zidane. Obviously some of them don't need too much explanation. We're going to try and go through these quickly and efficiently, but Zidane, he's Zidane. He's 97 rated, he's a trophy titan, and he is worth every single spot. We then have Xavi, obviously again with trophy titans, we've added in quite a few of them. We have gone for a lot of the newer players as well, so for instance, we do have a Gundogan in there. Even though he is an SBC that is expired, he's still a very good player if you've got him in there. Xavi himself, very nice upgrade. Wouldn't say he's necessarily in the S tier anymore, but most definitely I feel like he puts himself in an AS in a very passing orientated team. We then have Xabi Alonso in the Team of the Year variety. Again, another SBC that I believe finally has actually expired, but he is absolutely cracking. He's still in my team today, and he works his absolute magic in it also. Vieira, obviously coming in, it is alphabetical order backwards, just how it is, but Vieira is again another S tier that doesn't need too much explaining. Obviously trophy titan and an absolute machine in that midfield. Are you tired of using players like this? I would much rather have teams more like this. Then I recommend going over to skycoach.gg for all of your coaching and coins needs. They are cheap, fast and reliable, but at the checkout make sure you are using code JT11 for a discount on your orders. Back to the video. We also then have Varane, as obviously icons are mainly in this tier list. Probably again one of the cards that has had a nice upgrade for himself, but I do think in terms of what he can bring to the table, it is very limited in my opinion. We then have Vermin as the first team of the season, obviously an Eredivisie, a nice card, but again, there is going to be a lot of fodder team of the seasons, that's just natural. We will see a lot of the midfielders, a Casemiro, and maybe a KDB, an Odegaard that will be a decent level above. For instance, in Eredivisie, obviously it's going to be Simons, but a lot of these team of the seasons are naturally there for pack fillers in terms of ratings anyway. We're going to see a lot better. Valverde is up next with obviously his team of the year honourable way back in the start now, to be honest, and I do think he still puts in a shift. I'm toying between A and AS. I want to be very clinical with this, very judgmental. And I do think you could, you know what, you could still use him. I think he's not necessarily going to be in loads of teams, but most definitely he still should be in that list. We then have Yaya Toure as his, what is it? This is a trophy. Yeah, it is a trophy time, but obviously the hero version. Obviously, S is always. His versions are still incredible. You could get away with the hero still, the basic standard. The World Cup would be definitely the one you wanted to upgrade to now. And then obviously the trophy titans is going to be the next step up. We then have Tolisso as an SBC. Again, a nice upgrade for him. We'll see a lot of French centre mids. In general, I feel like now we're starting to get a team of the season. We're seeing a lot of these players, especially ones that are not really close to their upgraded one. For instance, Foot Birthday, Bernardo Silva, and team of the season. There's only a couple of ratings between them. Same kind of with Thuram. Obviously, he's got an 87, I believe it is. And then now he's got this 89. And most definitely this 89 is a class act of a card. Very good box to box / very heavily on that defensive side, but is an absolute monster with his acceleration. Talking about Simons, his 93 cam, obviously for team of the season, is exquisite. The dribbling is insane, the pace is amazing, just a very good start to a minor league team of the season, and hopefully Eredivisie guaranteed team of the season will pay out big time for this one. We then have Bernardo Silva as obviously his 95. Again, I do rate this card highly. I feel like it's one of them that is a solid dribbler. He works really well in that cam. Obviously, he's very agile, quick on the ball. Shooting wasn't terrible for him. We have got a review. And in terms of the difference between obviously him and Simons, is I think Simons just has that little bit more conviction in his run. He feels a little bit quicker and has that deadly shooting. Whereas I think Silva, for me, I feel like you could argue, don't get me wrong, you could definitely argue between AS and S, but from my experience with him, I would go AS. We then have Sancho Winter Wildcard. I feel like this card personally for me is now starting to drop down that little bit. is not necessarily going in the massive books for me. I very, very rarely see him. We used him during winter wildcards, and to be honest, he's never really been on the bucket list to come back. Rui Costa is another FUT birthday. Again, another one that is standard. I feel like he could have gone AS a couple of weeks ago. Now we're getting some really high hitters in that cam role. He's got to naturally fall down the pecking order. Same with Rickon, to be honest. I mean, he wasn't actually bad once we got him, but I do think now he is gonna be nothing but fodder. Maybe in a Bundesliga team, but we are looking for the whole of the midfield. We're looking for the best of the best, and unfortunately, he doesn't quite hit it. We then have Declan Rice. Again, another solid DM. Pace-wise been upgraded. Defense and physical looks solid. We've got a good amount of passing and dribbling, and I can guarantee in 2-3 weeks' time, we'll have 5 or 6 Declan Rices in the team of the season. Naturally, there will be a card a similar value. It's going to be a nice card, but not necessarily elite. He's not going to be, say, for instance, a 96 Casemiro. He's going to be a 90 Fofana or something like that. But in terms of Rice, he's a solid one, but unfortunately doesn't make the cut into that AS. We're going to have a team of the season swaps Reina. Obviously, a lot of these come with the option for packs or not. And I think at the moment I've actually took packs both times. Casado looks incredible, so that one is definitely one to look at. But Reina is just a little bit more upgraded than Royce. I personally see a nice card, but in terms of packs and going for the team of the seasons, I just can't see him being picked a lot unless it is for content purposes. Then we have Renato Sanchez, arguably a card that definitely needs an upgrade by now, an 85 that still does the work, and I don't know why he still is in teams. I've seen him, and I thought I wouldn't see him for the rest of FIFA now until we get a potential footies, if he's not obviously in Ligue 1, which again I don't know if he will be or not. But in terms of him, I've seen him more times than I've seen some of these other midfielders, which is absolutely shocking, but it's just natural ability for him really works out. Another French centre mid in Rabiot though, 88 rated, very similar to Tolisso, which we normally see in promos. If you get a left wing for free, let's guarantee that you'll get a left wing in the team as well. Very similar to him. I do think A is kind of now perfect for him. He's a good player, but most definitely with team of the season out, he is going to fall down that pecking order pretty quickly. Pogba still does what Pogba does best. He is still absolutely elite, and it is everything and above. It's his height, physical attributes, defending, obviously the shooting. He is just a very well-rounded box-to-box, and I'm still absolutely gutted to this day we didn't actually do his SBC. We then have Pirlo as a 93, again very similar to Xavi. Nice upgrade for him, a little bit ago now to be fair to him, but still a wonderful card if you are looking for an upgraded Pirlo. But again, with some of these team of the years, it isn't necessarily that he's upgraded into a better position in all of the icons, but obviously it is a massive upgrade if you wanted to use specifically a Pirlo. I do feel like he's slowly coming down the pecking order now though. Obviously Xavi being relatively new, they are very similar, but I do think Pirlo being out a little bit before has obviously stunted the upgrade that he could have actually got. We then move into Pedri, who, again, more than likely will see a team of the season at some point, or at least a footies at the very minimum. A nice card in general. I do feel like the SBC was a little bit expensive, but I do think he does come in at a nice rating. He's a good card. He isn't necessarily a massive game breaker in the game, but when he runs that midfield, he actually does it pretty well. And same as the next card, and we recently packed him out of the 88 plus. He is an absolute diamond in the midfield. I kind of remember him as a good player, definitely one of the better midfielders, and definitely one of the better midfielders in fantasy foot, but he is absolutely brilliant. His pace is great, he's got the dribbling, he's got the defending and shooting side of stuff at a reasonable level. I'm not saying they're all above 90 obviously, but he does really well for the price, and I do think he comes in at an absolute clutch for a hero. Ozil as an SBC though, it is an end of an era for him, to be honest, and I do remember way back in, like we're talking FIFA 12, FIFA 13, the Real Madrid cards of Ozil was incredible. The Benzemas, the CR7s, the Modric's, the Cruces, they were all top. They were top of the top, and that was the whole point. There was not a team of the year that didn't have half Barca, half Real Madrid, with maybe a hint of Prem. This card is, unfortunately, Not necessarily the greatest version of Ozil we've ever seen, but most definitely he is a card to remember by. I personally wouldn't put him that high in terms of rating for this FIFA, but a nostalgic card that hopefully one day we see an icon or a hero maybe for him. Hopefully a hero at least in La Liga, and they could obviously do Prem for him as well. Okocha with the next fantasy foot, do rate him quite nicely. I'm not necessarily his biggest fan. I do think he's a nice card, but when he was over, I think he is still over 1 million coins, I just don't see it. He's a very good cam, but there's so many out there that I'd be like, yeah, I want this card over him personally, and that is just... it's just my take on it, to be honest. I'd rather put Cruyff there, spend the extra coins, and I know that's a big comparison to make, but there is a lot of cards that I do think I just naturally prefer in-game over him. Nkunku is another one that, again, is absolutely sensational. He did get a FUT birthday that, unfortunately, is lower rated and a very, very hefty price on him. Hopefully, we do see him in the Bundesliga team of the season, though. I would love to see, again, another 94 to 95 Nkunku, which seems to be the ratings that they are going for. This card, for me, though, I would say he's slowly becoming less for me, obviously as a striker, little bit better, kind of that attacking winger slash striker centre forward role, but in a cam, again, there is cards that I'd much prefer. We then go on to Nene, who is, again, still absolutely elite and is crying out for a team of the season. He has not been upgraded for quite some time, and he is due one very soon. Musiala, 92 rated, again, due probably a team of the season that more than likely probably is 94 at best if he's going to get one. I do think a nice card in this version, and definitely one of the better future stars that you could have got. There was definitely some stinkers in there. Muller, unfortunately, whatever they do for Muller, it just never works. We've seen 96 team of the seasons, we've seen 98s, and he still just doesn't work. I honestly, I don't know what they need to do with him. Stretching him out, put him shorter, make him more agile, do it all for him, but unfortunately he just never hits it in the right spot for me, and I don't know if there is anything they can actually do for him. He just naturally doesn't work on FIFA as well as you'd want him to be. Then we have Modric, an easy one at best. You're going straight into that S, and it's going to be followed by Messi. Easy votes. Easy. And the next one's even easier. Matthias is an absolute goat in himself. The FUT birthday Matthias is beautiful. The prime, the mid, still incredible. But obviously you're looking for the best of the best here. And Matthias in this version is a machine. He runs the midfield like it's no other. And especially for the height of him compared to when we see the Hullets, the Vieiras, the Yaya Toures, he still does absolute work in that mid. And same with Marquisio, to be honest. An SBC that is there for a while. I do think he is still absolute class, and he most definitely will keep him spot in that S until we get a big, hopefully, Footies heroes, team of the season heroes, whatever we could get for him. Makalele, team of the year coming up next, and again another great addition for him. I do think this team of the year definitely put himself in a great spot as a DM. Good pace, passing, dribbling, nice upgrade for him, and the defense and physical are absolutely class. So in my opinion, he is AS and will stay there for quite some time, just not quite up to scratch for the S just yet. The one that is Llorente. Naturally always been very good. We saw him last year as a gold, and we kind of knew this was going to be a good upgrade for him. He's naturally very well rounded. Obviously the pace side of stuff is even better. A midfielder with 92 pace, leaving you open to put whatever chem style you want on for him. An absolute cracking machine of a card that is 100% going into the S, and it's a shame he didn't get the full upgrade, as that would be a beautiful card going forward. We then have good old Frankie Lampard, most definitely a nice trophy titans, and I was saying this a while back. Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard, they were crying for an upgrade because we know full well they're just not usable in their primes. Even now, to be honest, he's not necessarily the greatest midfielder in the world, but definitely on Lampard standards, a much better card. And I feel like with Lampard, they've upgraded them that little bit more, purely for the fact that the objective is giving him a 93, so you've kind of got to give that whole point of getting a free card, but the 94 is that little bit better, and I do think they've done that pretty well. Then we have Kite in the 89 fantasy foot, a good card, but most definitely for me now, I do think he's slowly becoming fodder and more fodder, and he's going to sit next to Rickens. We then have Kroos, again, one from a blast from the past, a 5-star Kroos, great, or yeah, Tony Kroos, thinking I was saying it wrong then. Obviously with his 5-star came with an SBC, whether you could get that in a year in review pat now, he is absolutely destroying the midfield and is still a cheeky super sub if you do have him. Obviously there is a lot of midfielders and more than likely you've packed a few of them now, whether you're going to actually use him, compared to Zidane, Xabi Alonso, even a Marquisio, in fact. I'm thinking of other SBCs that you could have done or can still do at this moment in time. On to another Eredivisie team of the season that, to be honest, is going to be pure fodder if anything. Verman's quite nice as a centre mid, but I think in terms of cam, there's too many good options. There's a lot of top options that unfortunately he will not go to. Kimmich, slowly coming down on this winter wildcard. Again, whether he gets a team of the season in Bundesliga is in question. I've heard a lot of people say it's not quite had the season for it. Whether they do it purely to sell packs in Bundes or not, that will be up for debate. Keane, another SBC that is available right now. Very, very easy decision here. Not quite the S, but definitely in terms of Keane standard, an absolute baller on the pitch and is a beautiful card going into this list. Conte, again, SBC as well. There seems like there is a lot of midfielder SBCs out at the moment. There is, in general, a lot of SBCs that are out for 60, 70 days, which naturally we will try and finish most of them during the team of the season grind, but whether we get chance to will come down to what cards actually come out at the start. Conte, a nice, easy one for me. I do think if he had a little bit more pace, he would be an easy S category, but I do think this year they've just not necessarily got it right for him. He is slowly decreasing, as we kind of know, but for the past 10 plus years, he has been an absolute monster in the midfield for Chelsea, for obviously Leicester just after then, where he just naturally ran the game for the Prem CDM role. We move on to Foot Birthday Kaka, who, again, controversially, I personally think he is absolutely incredible. He, again, is a great addition to his kind of next version from his prime, but I do think a lot of people might not like him in the S category, but for me, I think this is my opinion for him, and I do rate him very, very highly. Joel Linton in the centre mid objective. I do think they've done really well with this. A nice Prem centre mid. Obviously, we're going to get a Prem objective this week coming as well, so technically we've got 2 Prem team of the seasons for just playing the game. That for me is always a big bonus. Do I think he's the greatest centre mid in the world? Obviously not. They're not going to give us a 93 centre mid so we don't have to go buy Bernardo Silva or obviously any centre mids that are going forward. So they're never going to give you a 93, 94 team of the season. It will always be 89, 90 to maybe even a 92 if they're pushing it. But we know that 92 will probably be a left back. It just naturally happens. In terms of him, I'm going to put him in the A category at the moment though. I do think he's a nice card, but there is always a reason they give you these centre mids. Gundogan, I should put him literally in the bottom corner of this list purely for the pricing of him. Even though he did get the upgrade in the end, I couldn't believe how priced they give him. They obviously knew or thought that they had their money on Man City anyway. And he's a nice card, even though we did get technically a free objective during Team of the Year. Unfortunately, that is just game cycle as it is. Again, nice card, but unfortunately, the pricing of him just meant that personally, if you weren't a Man City fan, you probably didn't do him. Guendouzi, Foot Birthday, incredible DM. If he gets a team of the season, that card could be an absolute juice card in hell. Obviously, he would be S in a team of the season variety. We then go on to footballer Jackie Grealish. Beautiful 90 card. Obviously, the footballers really, really rate them. Don't necessarily think a lot of them stay in the team now. Maybe someone like a Diaz works really well. Trying to think if anybody else is there. You've got Mount, Grealish, Bamford's definitely not. Obviously, you've got Kuleveski the other side. There's a few that are okay. Edison, I suppose, as a keeper, but purely for the fact keepers are just on preference based. Then we have Goretzka as a 92. Again, we are waiting for that Goretzka-Kimmich partnership if we can get it again. We've had it pretty much every single year. Let's see if we can get it again this year. Gomez, again, incredible. Love this cam. Don't feel like he gets as much recognition as he should, but what a cam on him. Path to Glory 91 is a beautiful version of him. We then have Gerrard. Again, like Lampard, nice upgrade for the Gerrard franchise. I must admit, I am in a little bit more preference to Gerrard, to Lampard, in fact. So I feel like the difference is very minimal. They are very similar, like they, of course they were. But in terms of him, he would be necessarily under my Lampard choice. But again, that is all preference. There's some people out there that probably do prefer the Gerrard, and I think it mainly comes down to that objective. They've made Lampard that little bit more, just so if you do get the objective card and think, you know what, I want to try the 94, it's going to be a little bit more of a difference, and it's got to be better than Gerrard, otherwise you'd go by him instead. Gavi, another one, Pedri and Gavi together, two 91 centre mids that do the absolute work. I'm not a massive fan of the future star, I feel like he's a good card, but now I would say he's slowly becoming out of my list in terms of what we need. We need a bigger upgrade. The stats are just not as well rounded as obviously we see with a lot of these box-to-box midfielders. Gattuso, again, another nice one. Pace-wise, I do think it's lacking, as well as the passing and dribbling, but he's got an incredible amount of defence and physical. If you can kind of work a DM that doesn't necessarily get overrun too much, he would be your man. But unfortunately, he is slowly turning down. Obviously, it needs another upgrade, which is just sometimes the point of the game. We get better cards. Naturally, other cards have got to get better to compete. Otherwise, they slowly fall down the chain. We then have Fofana as a centre mid. Again, another card that at the start with Team of the Year honourables was incredible. Easily top of AS tier. Now I'm starting to see a little bit of a slip for him. And to be honest, I would say the same as the other Fofana, obviously as well. Both started to really slip down the list. Incredible in games, but most definitely slowly losing out to some of these big boys that we are seeing from Team of the Season. Enzo Fernandez, quite an easy one to be honest. He is top of the AS for me, but I think he's going to need something even better, and I can imagine he's definitely one of the front runners to get potential of a footies in the future. We know they like to do the 97 to 99 footies. I would love to see a version of that to see his true potential. We then have Essien, incredible DM. Don't have to say too much about him because naturally he is incredible in game. Defensive, just immaculate. Pace-wise, good upgrade. Little bit of dribbling capabilities and a good amount of passing. We then have De Jong, Path to Glory, and again another really nice card, but unfortunately slowly losing out to obviously a lot of these big boys. But I feel like he could definitely do with the upgrade and it would put him straight back on the map. You know, a 93, 94 De Jong would be perfect. It's the same as Gravenberch. Obviously the Team of the Seasons, De Jong's Team of the Year versions, have just put an expectation for him, and unfortunately he's not had too many just yet, so whether he gets another one in the near future would be down to obviously EA's choice. KDB, rumours, he's not made it into the Team of the Season. I could see it in terms of he's not necessarily been his best form, but I do think it's absolutely crazy that he's not even involved. Whether we see it's different, we'll see it on Friday, to be honest, but at least we've got a Team of the Year if you've got silver linings. We then move on to a Trophy Titans hero in Joe Cole. Again, another great card upgrade. Do think in terms of price, very efficient for what you can get. Dribbling wise, always nice, and can also play on the wing. Quite an easy AS for me there, especially with the price being so low for him. Cherokee, still an incredible cam, and I think for me, it is in-game ability for him. He, again, won't be necessarily everybody's cup of tea, but the 5-5, the pace, the dribbling, the shooting, all work really well for the card. And I think that just goes down to my preference. We then have Casemiro as a DM. I do like him, and I do think the pace upgrade from this version compared to Man of the Matches, I think he's got a 92 that went above, and I think he's got a 91 or a 90 as well that has got the non-pace boost. Hopefully in Team of the Season we do see a big pace boost for him. He's got to be at least over 84 pace, otherwise there's just so many better players. In terms of defending and physical, unmatched, incredible, but the pace is absolutely everything, especially when we're getting wingers now that will have base 99 pace stats, they'll have 95 dribbling, they will run an absolute riot around him. Personally for me, he's down in the dump. Obviously, Caicedo is the opposite to him, and this is what I'd love to see. I'd love to see a Casemiro look like this: 90 pace, 85 passing, 87 dribbling, 89 defending, and 90 physical. The card looks cracked. He looks absolutely immaculate. You've just got to choose between 1583s or this card, but I'm preempting this because nobody's used him in game yet. I'm hoping he's this sort of level. Whether he is will be for debate, but the card stats look immaculate. Then we have Bruno G. Again, another very nice FUT birthday, and obviously going straight into that AS, and then no questions asked, and I just think they've done him so dirty with that dynamic. It's the angle of it, but they really have not done him any favours there. Bruno Fernandes, it's going to pain me, but he's going to come down right here, because now the cam-wise, like we said, if Ricken and Kite are here, Bruno has to be. Unfortunately, he is just not in the run-ins for it. Brahim Diaz still got the chance of an upgrade. Obviously, AC versus Inter in the semi-final will be very interesting to see who gets the next upgrade, but most definitely a great SBC to do if you had done it at the time. And again, another one that I kind of missed out on. I think I may have actually done him, but I'm pretty sure I did miss out on him, and I know he was really cheap for an 89 rated card, and now potential of a 91. Next up, I know Benzema does technically have a team of the year, but the centre mid is absolutely nuts still. We love a Benzema in centre mid. It works really well, and yet it shouldn't. I don't know why it does, but the centre mid has been incredible from the start, and I do think naturally he's just a very good midfielder. They've got everything right for him, and again, it just mind boggles me that he actually is that good as a centre mid, as well as the team of the year being impeccable as a centre forward. We have Benacer now as the team of the season. Incredible card this one is. Doesn't look too fancy. He's got the tricks and the trade, and I do think this card is very underrated for obviously what he is. I don't necessarily put him on the same level as Matthias, as obviously a Vieira, a Yaya, but he is very, very high up on that AS, and I do think him, Diaz, AC Milan in general, are having a wonderful season for obviously special cards. We then have Bellingham, quite an easy one if he's going to just quickly go here. What we will do, I should have brought this list down. We knew that there weren't going to be too many S's, so we're going to move myself down here, and then obviously we go on to the next one. In the Serie A again, Barella, 92 rated. Again, it is going to be a fight between Barella and obviously Brahim Diaz. One of them can be upgraded. Who's it going to be? Let me know down below if you're still watching. Thank you very much for that. Obviously, we got a 91 or a 93 going into then the final of the Champions League. It's going to be an interesting one. And finally, we have a Abide Pele, a beautiful fantasy foot and an easy S that you can get in this list. And that's going to be my midfielders list. Let me know if there's anybody else you want in the comments section below. These are what I've considered as the best of the best. It's some of them that we see the most of in champs, in rivals, obviously in any sort of game mode that you play. And they are going to grow evidently in team of the season. So next time we do this, we should have pretty much most of the team of the seasons, and then we might do a breakdown of them as well at the end also. So let me know down below what you like. Make sure you do like and subscribe on this and check the video out on screen, and I'll catch you all for the next one. Peace.